This is Conversations with the Citizen. I'm your host, Tia Carol Jones. 420 is Cannabis Culture Day. While many have been known to gather and indulge in the consumption of marijuana on 420, we wanted to use the time to bring our listeners information. On January 1st, 2020, Illinois legalized recreational marijuana use. In 2014, Illinois Compassionate Use of Medical Cannabis Pilot Program Act was enacted. Since then, legalization of marijuana in 2020 in Illinois, sales have netted more than $600 million. I am here today with Apriel.
No worries.
Campbell, founder of Ivy Care LLC, a self-care beauty and wellness brand. She's also a volunteer with the strategic planning team of the Cannabis Equity Coalition. Ariel DeNey Rainey is the founder of and CEO of Hustle Mommies and the Mary Jane Group. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Tia. So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Peace.
So, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Well, I guess I'll start.
Yes.
So a lot of people know me as Ariel DeNey Rainey, the founder of Hustle Mommies, and that's an organization that empowers urban inner city moms on the South and West Side in Chicago and beyond. And doing that work with helping moms bury their kids and just being in the community and being from Inglewood myself, I understand that a lot of our people have made money on the black market where cannabis is sold. As someone who dated guys that was actually drug dealers, this is transparency, sorry Mom, don't cuss me out, but I dated guys who actually sold marijuana, helped them bag it up, they've had it in my house, all that other stuff, because culturally, that's how a lot of guys end up making money, because the communities that we're in doesn't give them a lot of chance, especially because education in most of these communities is whack. And so they go to what their peers are doing, which is selling drugs. And that, a lot of time that was marijuana. So when it became legal, and also me living in LA at one point and dating a guy that was in the legal industry who made great money, I understood that this industry years ago was going to be something that the white man who had money, that was on Wall Street, corporate attorneys, all that, was going to come in and make a lot of money, while our people who have been criminalized for selling marijuana and have records and got harassed by the police was not going to make the money that a white person who has money and access to capital will be able to make. And so that got me into the Mary Jane Group, which is kind of, this is my personal social enterprise to ensure that hustle mommies and their families are able to get equity in the industry.
That was wonderful. I'm Apriel Campbell, and I will definitely have to describe myself as an advocate and a survivor, a crime survivor specifically. Ivy Care LLC is a business that I created that establishes essential self-care, beauty, and wellness. The brand definitely hopes to branch self-care to urban communities, similar to the community that I grew up in, a West Side neighborhood on the called North Lawndale,
Holy City.
AKA Holy City. And similar to Ariel, I've dated those who have participated in the legacy market, what we now refer to as the legacy market, as well as have family members who have been persecuted through the war on drugs. So I'm very familiar with the ramifications of living in the community, still currently and being a stakeholder in the community, and through all of the intersectionality of the advocacy that I do through Ivy Care and Equity Cannabis Coalition, and just some other kind of grassroots initiatives that I've taken part in. I was able to kind of spark the flame and the interest in bringing these opportunities to my community and other individuals who look like me. And specifically, I want to focus on those who are similar to me, crime survivors. I'm a 7-year rape victim survivor, and that really influences the passion that I have around this plant. I really feel like it's important to give people who were in my situation an opportunity to earn wages that doesn't rely on their productivity, which is mainly what capitalism forces us to do. As a Black woman, I can definitely testify, and I have a gospel towards productivity and how I don't get to rest, because I've always had to have multiple streams of income, and they have never been enough. So what I'm hoping for through my opportunity that I've been able to create, and my partnership is to provide this type of platform that I could be able to help other people who were in the situation that I was in, and give them an opportunity to create generational wealth for their families and a little more perpetuity in regards to being successful in this industry.
So we don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Exactly. Exactly.
We be tired of having so much of hustles on the side.
Yeah.
Apriel, talk about Ethos, the work you do there, and how they provide medical marijuana to people.
Sure. So, in all transparency, I don't necessarily work for Ethos.
Okay.
I'm a partner that they have invested in here in Illinois
Okay.
for a retail dispensary license, similar to Ariel. She's also a partner as well, but I will let her speak for herself. And I pretty much was in I would say consistent communication with our investor, and very curious around the regulation and the advocacy through the work that I do with the Equity Cannabis Coalition of Illinois. And I think that kind of sparked his interest, and it kind of was just happened to be one of those you're in the right place at the right time situations. He needed someone to kind of follow what was happening. And again, I was very plugged into policy because I realized as an advocate and through all of the volunteer activations that I've had, it's important to follow law and just, be really in tune with your legislators, because that's, truly where you can impact community micro and macro. So as far as Ethos, the company, I feel like they have a really comprehensive approach to how they distribute medical cannabis. They definitely pride themselves on being experts, empowerment, and experience. So through their expertise and the partnerships that they have with Thomas Jefferson University, their medical college, they are hoping to study opioid use dependency and how cannabis can be pretty much a deterrent of opioid use. It's such a tongue twister, which I think is very important, because my mother, she struggles from she has nerve pain, lots of nerve pain, and she has been prescribed opioids. So that was something that I thought was really cool about the research that Ethos is doing. You don't see too many medical dispensaries actually partnering with universities to do comprehensive research. I think it's important to allow quantitative measures to kind of lead the qualitative ones as well, because we basically need precedents to be set, right? And you can't set a precedent without having the research or without having something to speak to. And then they also encourage their patrons to just be in the know. So on their website, they have this really cool Learn tab that you can click into, and it tells you everything about the experience that you will get when you come there. So if you are trickling in because of nerve pain, or if you're trickling in because you have PTSD like me, I am a medical cannabis card holder in here in Illinois, or if you're trickling in because you have anxiety or depression, you can go to this Learn tab, click on the different hyperlinks, and just learn, and it's curated. So I feel like it's so much more simple than heading to Google and you are just oversaturated with options. A lot of times we think options are the best, but I feel like options often make me stagnant. I'm like, which one should I choose? I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I really like that about their model, and I really like the fact that they empower their patrons, so you don't feel any less important, whether you're patronizing them for medical or recreational. They're just starting to build out recreational as states are decriminalizing. And then another component that I really like about Ethos is their Ethos Cares program. They have, each month they pretty much designate an organization that they want to give money to, and they gave money to, this month I believe, cancer research. Last month it was multiple sclerosis, and then in February they funded organizations that were educating on Black history, as well as organizations that were leading the way, pioneering for social equity in their state. So they're doing a lot, and Ariel and I have had the pleasure to get to know their CEO. He's a 2-time CEO, and he is really truly invested in seeing Black women come into this industry and really get what's deserved to us as Black women. So
Ariel, can you talk about Mary Jane Group, when it was founded and its mission, and then speak about your experience with Ethos?
Yeah, so the Mary Jane Group was started in 2019, and how it came to fruition was just like Apriel was saying. I went to an event a few years ago, and we were at the same event, which was funny. I like to network in rooms with people that has been successful in business, and I went to a particular event that Startup Grind hosted, and the CEO of Ethos was there, and he was talking about his company that he started, PharmaCan, and how successful it was and things like that. And I set up a meeting with him, and I told him that I don't think that it's fair that Black individuals, especially Black women who are losing their kids and their babies' fathers to either jail or the streets, dying, are not getting the opportunity to get a chance at this industry. And most women, we know this industry just as good as our guys because we're bagging it and they're selling it in most communities that look like you and I. And so talking to him, he became very excited talking to me and my passion and my dedication to the industry. And I inspired him to start a social equity program for Ethos Cannabis. And leading from there, he's become a mentor to both Apriel and I, and really helping us to understand the business side of the industry. And one thing that he always talk about is how the disadvantage for Black people that's looking to get in the industry is that they don't have the access to understanding the actual laws that's in place because it's constantly changing. And not only that, when you think about an individual that's Black on the south and west side of Chicago, what are we dealing with? Socioeconomic issues. So the lack of access to resources. Then on top of that, a lot of them don't have the access to actually understanding the business model that comes with running a dispensary or a grow center. So combining with Ethos and having a partnership, the Mary Jane Group was born because they're dedicated alongside myself to ensure that hustle mommies and their families have an opportunity to get into the industry. And with the Mary Jane Group, our tagline is providing quality, ensuring equity. And the reason why it's ensuring equity is because I understand that if I don't advocate for Junebug and Pookie and them that was on the block, and she said the legacy market, right? Mm-hmm. If we don't advocate for them to get an opportunity to get into the industry, then what are we really doing? As a Black woman that has consistently buried Black children through hustle mommies and watch hustle mommies see their babies' fathers get locked up in Stateville or in the county and see that source of income be taken away from them, I understand that it's imperative for them to get into the industry. So the Mary Jane Group is for my people. It's for people in Inglewood, Holy City, Austin, all those different areas. And even with Apriel, she's like very, very fire when it comes to policy. I call her like, so what's going on, sister? And that sisterhood is important. Yes. And so meeting all these different Black, especially outside of Chicago, there is a Black cannabis network where everyone helps each other. I can easily call someone who's from the west side of Chicago that started a Cannatech company and sold it half of it for 8 figures to say, bro, let's come together and give some money out. Now we're doing that. I can call her and say, hey, Apriel, we should do this. Let's do it, because we're all passionate about this, and we understand that because the industry is so young that we have to come together and push forward. And so with Ethos, what I really appreciate about Ethos is that their social equity program, they're dedicated and for sure advocating for more Black people to get licenses. They're making sure that we have opportunities to learn. They're galvanizing us together to make sure that people understand what true equity look like. And not only that, the mentorship and the push is unmatched compared to a lot of other social equity applicants that I've met in this state.
In 2019, the Illinois legislature passed the Illinois Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, and on January 1st, 2020, Illinois legalized recreational marijuana use. What did you think about the passage of both laws?
Well, for me, what I was excited about was the R3 grant was actually, the funding was actually established, and that stands for Restore, Reinvest, and Renew. Okay. So when that fund was able to be created because of the legalization of recreational marijuana, organizations like Hustle Mommies had an opportunity to apply for funding to help out with things that we're doing in the community. So for me, as a person that is an advocate and and activist for urban families first. I think that was the most beautiful thing, that they created this. And I wanted to shout out Juliana Estrada's office for even being the push for that, to making sure that fund was actually created. So for me, that was very important for me. So I know the policy expert here ready to dig it in.
Well, I don't know if I'm all that now, but I receive it and I affirm you right now, and I affirm myself. When the first thing that came to mind when you said that was like, everything that glitters ain't gold.
Okay.
And I feel like it's a start.
Okay.
I definitely am feeling similar sentiment as Ariel, that I'm super excited that money will be funded and funneled to organizations that are in communities that have been hardest hit. But I still feel like there's a few loopholes in the law. Folks in the industry have been referring to one specific loophole as like the slave owner clause, where companies can hire 51% of their staff that's from these impacted areas, and then they can qualify as social equity applicants.
And that is really sucky, because we're majority owners of our company. We don't have to hire no one to be that. We actually own our company, our partnership. So
and we have majority equity in the company, and that's what's most important. I think that needs to be addressed, because it's that equity that will be behind that brand that you build that's going to be able to really catalyze that generational wealth. So already I kind of felt like, okay, this is a great start, but immediately I'm like, what organizations can I get plugged into to continue advocating for better legislation? Something else I was really excited about with that bill was the fact that there were going to be different ways to access the industry. So they wanted to roll out, obviously retail, dispensary, recreational. This is all recreational. And then they also wanted to roll out, transporter licenses. And then as well as infusers, so people who want to make edibles, and then craft cultivation. So craft cultivation is a little different from just like a grandiose cultivation, right? Like a huge cultivation center. Craft cultivation allows you to, grow indoors, and there's a certain amount of canopy space that you can have, etc. So it kind of decreases the barrier of access into the industry, because you kind of have less risk going in. Obviously, with a retail dispensary, in my situation, there's a higher overhead because it's plant touching. Whereas, like, if you wanted to apply for a transportation license, it's a decreased overhead. There's still money that you have to raise, that you will have to come forth with, but again, the barrier is decreased a little bit by not being in that close of proximity to the actual plant. And then what else was I really excited about? Let's pivot to what I wasn't excited about: the taxes.
Okay.
I feel like as I'm a stakeholder in my community, and I come from a line of, my mom was not a homeowner. She worked 3 jobs most of her life, retail, but my grandparents were. And they taught me the value of home ownership and like sacrificing. So as soon as I was able to purchase something, I did. And as soon as I was able to grab something to invest, I did. So for me, I feel like this city, this state, I don't understand. Why are we constantly having to pay such increased taxes, but we still have all these potholes? My community still looks disinvested.
The schools are messed up.
I still live in a food desert. I live in an activity desert. Gratefully, and by the grace of God, the people that I run with in my community, we choose to see what's there. Similar to what Ariel has said, we choose the partnership and dwell in that. But we still have to advocate for more. We deserve more. So the tax situation, I'm not too happy about it, especially going in as like an owner, because the higher the amount of THC that's in the product, the more taxes you have to pay, right? And if we are, say for example, if I partner and I, bring her cultivation into my supply chain, and we're growing legal cannabis, so the potency will be higher, right? Automatically, we get ravaged by taxes, automatically. And then on top of, just the recreational tax for people to shop retail, right? It's going to range from anywhere from 19% to 35%. That's a barrier. That's a bit of a barrier.
Which means the black market, as that is now called legacy market, is still thriving. But because they are in the streets selling it, they can still go to jail, which is just an overall effect. It still affects our community, because the guys that are not in the legal industry have an opportunity to still make money, but if they're caught, they're going to jail. And so that's the loophole, and that's why that we have to fight for more of our people to be able to get into the industry, especially with all of with them not being able to get in if they have felonies, you know.
Yes, not being able to have like true ownership, you know, like proper ownership. I'm in complete agreement, you know, especially since there were limitations based on like who can get expungements. So those, I believe, who were caught with like, I think it's less than maybe like I'm sorry, let me reference my notes. I think it's 30 grams, they automatically will get expunged. But if it's more than that, you have to pretty much go through the steps of expungement. That's bureaucracy. That's another barrier.
And you gotta think about too, Apriel, what guys, you know, listen, I'm from the hood, I'm from Inglewood. If a guy was selling weed, he had his gun with him because he was at risk of being robbed or anything like that. So for me, I'm like, okay, I love black men and black women, and I feel like if you have a gun charge with your marijuana charge, that should be able to get removed as well, because that's a barrier. Because who you know that has just a marijuana charge and they were selling it? That's like almost like non-existent.
Yes, and my cousin is exactly one of those people who fits that model. So definitely is why I've always been attracted to policy early on, because I see how it can impact communities and people, and being a victim or being a survivor of a crime, right? As so many women are, 1 in 3 women have been sexually assaulted and or raped, right? And I'm not sure what the statistic is for just crime survivors. And those of us that are black and brown that are living on the south and west sides that are, witnessing death consistently, right? Hearing gunshots, like, we're in a constant state of, like, PTSD. You know what I mean? So, I
can't
think,
even scroll
again,
through Facebook without seeing a police officer shooting somebody.
Exactly.
And, or seeing a kid getting killed, So
those are some of the things, like I said, that I felt really happy about, with the progress, right? But I still feel like there's more to be done, and I think that's on us as constituents, to call your friends, tell folks at church that want to be educated, tap into your networks to have people come and, exercise their democratic arm.
And one last thing before we go to the next question, with the R3 fund, making sure that they're investing into organizations that's actually in the community, ran by the community, that can actually do real programming. Because, we have a lot of people who come into our community and start organizations and get a check, but those of us that's doing the work don't get money.
That's a good point. According to the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation, from January 2020 to December 2020, adult cannabis sales total $669,084,402.
Look how she said it. Look, she was like $410.
That's crazy to me.
It's a big number.
Well, you actually look up and it's like, am I saying this correctly? Yes.
It's a big number.
Are black-owned cannabis businesses getting enough of that money?
Absolutely not.
Where are they?
Absolutely not.
Where's the lie? Where are they?
Absolutely not. Let me tell you something. First of all,
where are they?
The major corporations that's led by cisgender white men are cashing out, and our people are not getting a part of this. And that is what's crazy to me. That's like, it makes no sense, And that's why even what she was saying earlier about the slave owner clause, where as long as you hire 51% of people of color, then you're considered as a social equity applicant. That's the problem right there. Because there are many people who are like Apriel and myself who own majority equity in our company that is waiting on licenses and that's advocating and pushing, so we won't get the end of the stick. In this beginning phase, we need to be at the table so we can get this money, so we can be a part of the decision making for our community. So no, we're not getting any, because where are we?
Yeah, I would say, just to kind of be a silver lining, right? Like, if we think about, like, the R3 grant, like, the designation of, like, the money that's supposed to be coming in, I guess if we assess the R3 awardees, right, like, if we look at that list and see, okay, which of these organizations that receive this money are black-led or in black and brown communities that have been under-resourced, etc., because 25% of that total revenue is what's supposed to go to that fund, right? So that would be something that, folks are interested in, like, quantitative to look into, because, like I said, right now, there's no ownership as far as like,
that.
yeah, they haven't even awarded recreational licenses yet. Only medical license holders who had opted for their recreational status are the ones that's making money, and it's a void right now, and that's why social equity applicants are so upset and really
and we
trying
try
to
to disgruntled. We can't even sleep at night, because with me,
Anxious.
I have applications in for transportation, grow, and dispensary, and my head hurts. I call her all the time, like, Apriel, like, listen, and it's like really frustrating because we're almost like a year and some change in, and we still haven't received like what's the next steps or anything like that. We're just kind of waiting. And then even with the original people that just got placed into the lottery, there's a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo with that as well. So trying to figure out how to still advocate for those that are social equity applicants that made it to the lottery while still advocating for those of us that's waiting for the second phase, that's exhausting. And one thing I've learned as a business owner, because this is a for-profit business and it's very lucrative, in this industry, if you're looking to get into the cannabis industry and you are Black, brown, woman, or whatever, having a part of advocacy, a part of your business model is very important, because if you don't advocate for the community that you represent, it's like you're completely eliminating yourself. So you have to know the laws and the processes. You have to know what's going on, and you have to advocate for your community, because what's the beautiful thing is those of us that get into the industry now, we're creating a space for an industry that is going to completely changed our country, just like the automotive industry did in the early 1900s.
Yeah, definitely. I just really want to remind folks, if you don't really feel passionate around actually looking at bills, to find organizations or chat with me, chat with Ariel about these things, because the timeline that they laid out for this bill, it's just not adding up. You know what I mean? It really isn't adding up, and I think that a lot of times we feel like when legislation is introduced that it's very simplified, and it isn't. It's very complex. And of those individuals who have been, awarded entrance to this first lottery, there are 6 that are actually Black owned.
Yeah.
So that's great. And just echoing what Ariel has said, I am very supportive of that. It doesn't have to be me. If it is me, thank God.
We
so
need
grateful.
somebody at the table right now.
Exactly. I want to just be able to go spend my money with someone that's Black or brown, because at least I know that there's a bit of maybe their experience that resonates with me. Maybe we don't have everything in common, but again, we understand that we are siloed in this industry, and that is just, I feel like I trust that more.
It's like a brotherhood, sisterhood type of thing,
yes.
And there are people that are on the application that I have built relationships with that are like heavily invested into the marijuana industry here and have been for years. And so, they are great resources. So even if you want to get into the industry, build an alliance with individuals. I'm now part of the Cannabis Equity of Illinois Coalition because of Apriel. She introduced me to Peter and the gang over there. Even talking to EDS, Chicago Normal, and a whole bunch of other people. You find communities that are well invested and you network. And another thing is, outside of Chicago, there are so many bomb people that are Black and brown that's in the industry. Just like my girl Liv, who has Kush Queen, and I'm doing my Cannabis Social virtual experience for women in cannabis here in Chicago. She donated products and is sponsoring it, and I built that relationship from going on Clubhouse, social media, reaching out,
Clubhouse Queen,
setting up,
literally,
y'all are funny, setting up Zoom meetings with people, getting to know them, and I'm like, Apriel, do you know this person? And then building down, yes, and then we connected and stuff, and we just really like connecting that way. So you have to build relationships and support each other, because this industry, for those of us that are Black, brown, woman, or whatever the case may be, we support each other. It's like you are going to get a yes, or if not a yes, they're going to put you in the direction of someone who can help you and be an actual resource.
Great. And so, this kind of leads into my next question. What do you think can be done to open up the cannabis industry to more Black-owned businesses?
Pay us in
great
equity.
Question.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking
No,
about Beyonce.
that's a great question. No, go ahead.
Pay us in equity, like Beyonce said. But no, seriously, the way to get us more into Black-owned businesses, something that I have a passion in is education. You know, I love school. So for the month of March, I have a private Facebook community, the Mary Jane Group Cannabis Business Circle. And what I did was every Monday I had experts in different fields come in and do a workshop talking about policy, how to run a 7-8 figure cannabis business, things like that. You have to give people opportunities to learn, connect people with other individuals. Like, I can't wait until this pandemic stuff is over so we can actually be in person and they can see someone. You know, it makes a difference when you're in front of someone that has a 7-figure, multi-million-dollar cannabis business that's Black. You know, Brandon Bates, that's from Inglewood like me, is very successful in the industry, and he's a multi-million-dollar cannabis business out in Colorado, and has been in the industry for a long time. And even Tuesday, Hope Wiseman, who has Marion Bain, I'm speaking at her conference. She's a Black woman who's our age, that's killing it in the industry. You know, she even did a workshop talking about how she lost multiple 6 figures applying for a license, and she didn't get it, and she was talking about how she had to chunk up that L. That was me. I would have been somewhere like singing "Take Me to the King." You tell me I was losing multiple 6 figures. I was like, girl, you did what now? Run that back for me. So those are type of things that you need. We need our people to have community education, and then we also have to start advocating more for the state to actually have money to the side to actually help individuals to get in. I think that should be a part of the reparations model, that you should actually have money for individuals to be able to get into this industry that have been criminalized for it. But that's just me, because I love my people who've been on the black market, legacy market, making money, and now they're sitting back like, because I got this gun charge and this felony, I can't get in now. I've been making money. Now I can't even be a millionaire.
Yeah, we need to definitely give them their roses. I echo pretty much everything that you say. And again, everything always comes back to legislation for me. I feel like we need to introduce, we need to do the work to create new language to kind of address the loopholes that were in this bill that we now know exist. I understand when a law is created that, you know, we can't necessarily predict what will come from the law, but I definitely feel like the equity model that they have created to kind of make communities whole, there can be some improvements. There is a fund, they have the Cannabis Business Development Fund, but what the issue is with that slaveholder clause, right? You got businesses that are hiring folks as employees and then utilizing the fund because they qualify as social equity applicants. You know what I mean? So I definitely feel like something that really could bring more black and brown folks, specifically black women, is giving us access to money, right? Like, most of the money that you have to come into the industry with, it has to be money that isn't, you know, insured by like a bank. You can't go to a bank and say, hey man, could you loan me $2 million?
It's federally illegal.
Exactly, it's still federally illegal. So you have to either find an angel investor or pull together with your friends and family. And in my family, there's a few 6-figure owners, maybe 1 or 2. You know what I mean? I'm not really quite sure because folks don't really sit around on Sundays saying, hey, how much you make? How much you make? You know what I mean? We just be like, I'm trying to get like you, big dog. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's like I don't really have
for dinner today.
The average person exactly doesn't have access to that type of money. You know, especially in my community, Lawndale, 28% of the people in Lawndale make median wage, which is $50,000. You know what I mean?
It's very impoverished over there, and it's historically black, and that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. So you gonna have me preaching now. So that's what I'm talking about. Investing in black people means that you're investing in black communities. There's no reason why that in places
Take us
like
to where the money resides.
Yes, where the money resides.
Take us to where the money resides. Like, period, point blank. If you're an investor and you have access to a venture capital firm or a account, you know, if you know folks that are like, hey, you know, we wanna alleviate this equity issue. Y'all get together, bring y'all millions together. Sure, I'll produce a business
plan.
Go on
16th Street and pull some of the guys together and help them get into the industry. Come on Inglewood on 71st and Loomis, where I'm from, and pull some of the guys over there together, because I guarantee you they will want to get into it and actually be successful, because this is their industry. They just don't have access, and no one invested in them and gave them the opportunity. Yes. But that's the problem. We don't have that, and like she said, the fund that exists, I don't even acknowledge it because the ones that need it is not having access to it. And another thing is, make information available. pay for a Facebook ad, do something,
And
goes up to
accessible.
GCI. Like, these people don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that I had to find out about it was because, and I'm privileged. And I say Apriel and I are in a very blessed and privileged situation compared to other social equity applicants, because our investor is someone that's been super successful in this industry, and the knowledge that we have from him, because he's dedicated to ensuring that we are representing social equity in its true form, as someone who is a former attorney and understand what it means to have a certain level of privilege. He give us information. But when I talk to my friends that did not have the type of partnership I have there and seeing their application, there's a barrier, and it pisses me off, if I could be frank, because that means that a lot of people don't have access to this knowledge.
And then they aren't in transparent partnerships, and collaborations. And transparency is very important to me. I feel like I need to, I've been blessed with the gift of discernment, so usually if someone isn't being transparent, I can acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to be doing business with you in perpetuity, if like my family's generational wealth relies on that, I need you to be transparent. So as she said, make the knowledge accessible, take us to where the money reside, believe in those legacy markets, you know what I mean? Allow us to facilitate and create, relationships, do business the way that we're comfortable. Meet us where we are. You can't be tone deaf to culture.
Yeah.
You have to meet us where we are. That's really truly like be equitable in this industry. Like, don't try to, obviously we want to take on new knowledge from you, but definitely you have to meet us where we are.
Absolutely.
So, can you talk about the Kush Queen for me?
Yeah, so Kush Queen was started by Olivia Alexander, who is someone I consider a good friend and ally in the industry. And she started out working in dispensaries, and she's a woman. I believe she's Latina. And she got into the industry starting off as a bud tender. And bud tender is basically the girls that handle the marijuana purchases inside of the dispensary. And she got into the industry because years ago she saw that there was opportunity for women to get in the beauty side. Mm-hmm. So she has like a whole bunch of cute stuff. She has lotions, the CBD bath bomb. I actually used one last night, and when I say I slept well, I woke up this morning feeling fresh to death.
Yes,
like Jill
honey.
Scott. Like, it was amazing. And then she also have like sex products as well, like CBD based lube that's non-vegan, because she wanted to make sure that women are taking care of themselves and it's healthy products and not all those chemicals. And so we have, for the 25 attendees that registered first for our event, we're going to actually drop off this week bags to them. So yeah, we have also this cute little hat. It says Kush Queen. I thought that was cute. So that's what Kush Queen is. And then also, Apriel has skincare stuff too.
Yes.
Yes, so I am a jack of all trades, because as I said, black women exist in capitalism in a way that is very oppressive. We don't get to rest. I live in a rest desert, and in order to take care of myself, I'm a single woman, I'm not married, I have to get it how I live. So folks have always told me, wow, you have beautiful skin. And again, I decided in 2016 that I wanted to pursue this interest in a plant-based skincare line, because at that time I had left a job, a corporate position in supply chain, because I was having so many after effects of PTSD from the trauma that happened to me in 2014. So a friend of mine basically said, what would you do if you could just do it every day and not get paid? I had never really had the opportunity to ask myself that question. I come from a household of just kind of like, deal with the situation. If you're gonna cry, move on, because you gotta keep rolling. You gotta keep things moving. So I decided to start making products on the side as I was just kind of preparing myself to enter back into the work industry, because I felt like I didn't want to borrow any money or take out any loans to really fuel my idea. So I decided to get back into corporate America, and finally was able to LLC my business in 2019 through an amazing launch party. Was able to land some really great sponsorships. And now I'm crafting all types of essential self-care, beauty, and wellness kind of motifs. And just super proud of that, because, again, the brand comes from, love and family. A lot of the recipes are from my grandmother. She is a herbalist from Arkansas, and she has helped me pretty much curate things. And then the name Ivy Care comes from the love of my sisterhood. I am a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And that sisterhood has been amazing in my recovery as a survivor. So I definitely just wanted to give an ode to the love that I have for myself that has been established over these years. So thank you, Ariel, for giving me the opportunity to activate in this way.
Because I love it.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I know you had, I don't know. I think that I just wanted to say that if you're a black person, especially a black woman, and you're looking to enter the industry, please reach out to the both of us. We're really big on sisterhood, and I think that it's important for us to start educating our communities. I know Olive Harvey has a program in cannabis that my friend Brandon Banks is on the board of, and other people that I know that are awesome. But I think that we have to start having more community sit-down conversations and normalize it, because, you know, a lot of us come from was raised by the grandmas and the older generation who saw smoking weed as the devil's grass, honey. And, you know, even when I first got into the industry, my late grandma, who's my favorite, was like, if you don't stop putting up about that weed, you know, the whole church went into conniption. It was crazy. So I think that we have to start educating our community about the benefits and the perks and how it can help us with our schools, with getting our property values up, because we know redlining is real. That's a real thing. We need to start reinvesting and start buying back the houses that our grandparents integrated and build up our communities, because we're losing it right now. We're moving out in everything of our communities, and everyone is taking what our ancestors fought hard to have, that was getting lynched and rocks thrown at them, everything here in Chicago. And we want to be able to bring that back. So we have to start looking at this as a collective economics opportunity, and really just educate ourselves and build a sisterhood and brotherhood through that.
Ashe, I echo everything you say. Feel free to reach out to either one of us. You can definitely get activated through Chicago Normal, very welcoming organization, or
Dante and Edie.
Exactly, or the Equity Cannabis Coalition of Illinois. You know, feel free to Google them, look them up. Both organizations are on all of social media platforms. Additionally, I feel like we definitely have to just think about it like this. There's a million ways to $1 million. Just as Ariel has alluded to, the automotive industry and cannabis, the buck doesn't stop with just a dispensary or a cultivation site. We got folks that are addressing issues that I've had to deal with as being a rape victim survivor, creating products that incorporate CBD, the medicinal, the non-psychoactive part of the THC. And we definitely need to kind of uplift those things, because that will really reinforce and debunk the myths that have been pushed by the government when they wanted to criminalize black and brown people.
Because they didn't know how to make money off of it.
Exactly. And now that they've learned how to make money off of it, they still don't want to give us the equity and the respect that we deserve, because it's our people that basically have established the demand for this product. It's the connections that our people have negotiated, whether it's black market, a white market, blue market, whatever market. We created the market. So we have to, as Ariel said, educate ourselves so that we not only can say, yeah, we want to create space, and we're creating space because of this. I know this policy, I know this regulation, and you don't have to know everything. Ping off of somebody else. Join the club room.
I call Apriel almost every day, honey.
And she helps me be more extroverted, because I'm naturally more introverted. You know?
I tell her all the time, I'm like, you the policy person. I'll be like, hi, I'm Ariel, how are you? Woo!
Yes.
That's what we work at.
Don't be afraid to collaborate and partner, because it's a lot of money out here. They not gonna stop printing money. It's so much money out here for everybody. Don't be in competition with other people. We both are black women coming into the industry. We have different markets. We have different niches. We have to remember that. I think so often we get wrapped into this idea of like, all right, if I give this person, this tidbit of information, they're gonna do better than I am.
And that's holding us back so much. And then another thing to actually reiterate what she's saying is that there's the plant touching side with dispensaries, grows, and transportation. But you can make money in this industry and not even touch the plant. You could be an attorney, become a cannabis attorney.
A cannabis photographer.
Yes, I just signed up for a class to be a cannabis doula. So
a podcaster talking about cannabis products.
You can actually become a publicist in the cannabis industry. Get me into High Times magazine, okay?
You can consult. If you already do consulting already, you can just do cannabis consulting.
It's money here. It's where the money resides.
It's where the money resides.
So if you are already established business, just learn the industry, understand the regulations, follow it, you know, especially with the MORE Act on the federal level,
Yes.
and all that stuff. Just know what you're doing, and when you come into this industry and follow the actual regulations, and you can make money. You can make money right now just being a social media strategist.
Very true.
Great.
If people want to connect with, tell them.
Oh, where can people go to find out more about you?
So you can like the Mary Jane Group on Facebook, and then the Mary Jane Group _ on Instagram. And also, if you're in the Chicago, Illinois area, because my assistant and I do check, we have a Facebook community.
She's so lit. Like literally,
No, seriously.
She is.
Oh my gosh. The Mary Jane Group Cannabis Business Circle is our private Facebook community. We post stuff. I let people know about expungement. Oh, we got to talk about the expungement day real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the Cannabis Equity of Illinois has an expungement day event on April 30th. So I will post the link on the Mary Jane Group page. We will post it on our personal page for you to actually be able to sign up. And basically what it is that if you have any type of felony or background or whatever, you can start the process to get that expunged. That to me is very important. I'm very passionate about that because that's how we'll be able to give more of the guys that's on the block that's been selling weed an opportunity to make money legally.
And then I would say for me, if you want to follow like my personal narrative, who I am, Apriel, you can find me on Instagram and social media at Apriel Crystal, and it's APRIEL Crystal CRYSTAL. You would think I would know how to spell my own name, but
I was like, you spelling my name? I'm so silly.
yeah, that's right. I know our names are so close. And then if you want to follow my brand, IV Care LLC. Which is my plant-based skincare, essential self-care, beauty and wellness brand. It's at IV Care LLC, IVYCARE LLC on Instagram and Facebook. And again, check out Chicago Normal on Instagram and Facebook. It's just at Chicago Normal, as well as Equity Cannabis Illinois Coalition on Instagram and Facebook. So thank you.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real news